All right. So let's get going, folks. I really appreciate it. Again, put your name and organization affiliation in the chat so we know who's in the house. We are recording this session, and then we will post it on our website so that folks who didn't participate can go check it out. We like to have you all put yourselves on mute, but we want to see your smiling faces. So that'd be helpful. And just quickly on attendance here, we had a lot of folks register, and we'll see. We'll have a good turnout, I'm sure, with those who show up. But we have, at this point, 15 people from Indiana, 31 from Kentucky, and yes, Ohio beat Kentucky by 2 with 33. So we've had a bunch of people as well joining since that list was developed. So maybe Kentucky will beat us out. We'll see. Maysville, I think, has the record for the number of people, from the mayor to tourism to chamber to Main Street director. And I know that Norbert Gallenstein with O'Rourke's Pub, which is our first pub to become an official member of the Ohio Riverway, will be joining us. And West Point has 4 people registered. That's great. Thank you again, Andrew, for joining us. We have, as I mentioned, Mayor Cleese from Bellevue, Deborah Cotterill from Maysville registered. I don't know if she's on yet. Mayor-elect Cerisi from West Point, Dee Stone from Anderson Township, Anthony Spatzel from Representative Wenstrup's office, and Mary Allen from New Richmond City Council. Wonderful. We have, I think, 15 people who represent tourism agencies in the House, as well as a number representing park districts and conservancies. So it's a wonderful turnout. We thank you all very much. So we'd like to move right into the agenda here, folks. Please put your name and organization affiliation in the chat. We'll use the chat during the course of this working meeting to record, to have you all the opportunity to ask questions, make comments, raise your hand for a committee that you'd like to be involved in. Although we do have, and David Wicks will describe this, a survey tool that you all receive that allows opportunity for you all to sign up for different committees as we go through this working team. And Mayor Cotterill, good to have you here. Thank you very much. I see she's in the house from Maysville, rocking it. So we'd like to begin with a quick overview, a report for those of you who weren't there about the summit we held in Lawrenceburg. And we're so grateful to the Lawrenceburg team, especially Mike Perleberg with One Dearborn for coordinating that wonderful effort. So Francis Manone, if you could briefly share what happened at the summit, and with this now being the follow-up.
Yeah, so the summit was great. Thank you all for the volunteers that helped organize the summit. Sean Dunn was involved, Mayor Allen was involved, Mike Perleberg, and others. Jody Robinson, Annette, really dug in and produced a great in-person summit. And we do not have a date for this coming year, but it will be around the same time next year. We had about 130 people in the room and about 30 people who joined us by Zoom. So it was, and stayed online the whole time, all day for us. But we had great content regarding the vision of the Ohio Riverway, myth busting about the cleanliness of the river itself, electeds panel talking about how to collaborate with each other through the river, using the river to collaborate. Funding, we had content regarding funding and ways to access it. We had a great seminar at lunch regarding underserved populations and how they can access the river as well. A great panel in the end with tourism. That was very inspiring. And then we ended on several different projects that are underway here on the Ohio Riverway, and highlighting some of those assets that are on our braided trail. The National Park Service distributed their hard copy version of the Rivertown Review program that had been run for many of you who participated. And we have good news to announce today as an outcome of the success of the work that they were doing with their Rivertown reviews. The National Park Service would, while we are no longer an official program of the RTCA, because we did so well, we graduated, the National Park Service wants to continue doing Rivertown reviews for the communities that haven't been able to do them yet. And so from a planning perspective and from a fundraising perspective, this is great news to us because it helps to balance the amount of information and energy and planning we have done on individual communities, and we're going to fill in the blanks here. So if you're interested in a Rivertown review in 2023, send me a note, I guess, in the chat, and I will mark it. We know there's demand. People have already asked us for it. So we won't be able to get to everybody, but we would love to include more communities in another round of Rivertown reviews. So back to you, Brew.
Well, thank you. I know that the D Stone and the folks in Anderson are interested. Anderson Township outside of Cincinnati and up and down the river. Those of you who haven't had a chance to have a Rivertown review done on your community, this is an opportunity to raise your hand and say, yeah, we're interested, and then we'll follow up with you all. Okay. So folks, now we get into the meat of this meeting. And once again, what we're doing with our monthly meetings of the Ohio Riverway Coalition is bringing together stakeholders from West Point to Ironton and Portsmouth upriver on both sides of the river in 3 states to actually move ahead on collaboration in different areas of focus. And so today we have folks who have stepped up to take leadership responsibilities for 3 or 4 different committees that where people at the summit said, hey, we really have low-lying fruit opportunities to work together to make really quick progress for this coming season and to make things happen. So anyway, today we hope in the next 45 minutes or 50 minutes to review what the work scope of each committee is, get input from folks to sharpen that up, and hear from those who've stepped forward to lead those teams, at least initially, and then invite people to register and sign up for ideally at least one committee. So our goal is to have everybody who is involved in this coalition network for the Ohio Riverway be engaged in a way that's meaningful to them and to the effort of the organization. So let's jump in right away because tourism. First of all, we have a lot of people from tourism bureaus, county and municipal, up and down the river. Some from the bigger communities like Meet NKY, like Visit Cincy, like Louisville, but there's also county and municipal tourism bureaus in other communities. I see that we have Madison in the house. Good to have you. So what we'll do is start with that team, and we're grateful that 3 people have raised their hand and said, listen, we love this agenda and this work, and we'd like to take some leadership to make it happen. And those who have stepped up to lead this effort, Julie Kirkpatrick, who is the executive director of Meet NKY, working very collaboratively with Visit Cincy across the river, and Noelle Sedlick. Did I pronounce your name properly, Noelle? I'm sorry. But Noelle is with the Indiana Destination Development Corporation, focused on sports marketing, and she did an outstanding job on our panel at the summit, and that was in turn facilitated by our wonderful board member Mary Allen, City Council member in New Richmond. So I'd like to turn it over to you all to share how you see this committee working and invite people to join you. So who would like to start?
I can start. This is Mary. I'm showing up as Brewster Rhodes, but I'm really me.
You are.
I got out and tried to do it again, and it still shows. So
you
have
look
2
much better than me.
faces
Thank
today,
you.
Brewster. So I'm not going to say a whole lot because I want Julie and Noelle to be able to speak. But you know, in a small community like New Richmond, you wear a lot of hats, and so while I don't consider myself a marketing or a tourism expert, I have dabbled in it. But what I do like is all the energy that I've seen between the time we had the mayor summit and then the annual summit. And I just can't wait to get whatever I can contribute to, you know, rally everybody together and come up with some great ideas and try to develop an action plan that we could actually deliver some things in 2023. So that's all I have.
Excellent. So Noelle or Julie?
Sure, I feel the same way as Mary. I think we have a meeting scheduled for January. So I think that'll give us an opportunity to kind of just get started, see where, you know, we need to go in regards to what's important to people, and and how we, further this, but creating that action plan that she suggested is definitely important, and then putting, realistic goals together that we can accomplish. And also then I think providing support to communities like Mary's that don't have a tourism director or a tourism person, but still want to be engaged in the tourism aspect of the Ohio Riverway and how they can benefit from that. So I think that's really an important piece of how we can use some of the collective knowledge within this group to help others.
And Noelle, if I could, first of all, what is the date of your first organizational meeting? And also,
Hold on. I should have
I
had
was
that.
gonna say I
written down.
got my calendar here. Maybe I can find it fast. Let's see.
January 11th, I think.
okay. And that'll be
At
what,
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock by Zoom, correct? So
It's
we
going
call
to
it-
be via Teams because
Teams.
that's what system I use.
Fine.
But I am happy to invite others if they want to reach out to me directly, and then I can send them the invitation. But I think actually, I mean, we can do that, but I also think our small group needs to have a conversation maybe first.
First, that's what I was
In
thinking.
January, and then we can bring some more people into the group by February. We do have monthly meetings scheduled, so that way we can be a little more organized with conversation before there's new people that join us, because we really haven't had, other than you asking us to put a meeting date together, we haven't really had much communication other than that.
Okay, but there are people here on the call from a number of bureaus. And I know that like Andrew Forrester with Madison is, I know, interested, plus Kim and others up and down the river, Caitlin. So maybe they can reach out directly to you. And maybe if you could put your name in the chat once again,
Right, and we could capture it
that'd be
if
great.
they're interested. Yeah.
Okay. And I'm
Sure, I'll
sorry-
put my name and my email address in there, and then if they just want to reach out to me directly, I think it will save some confusion. And we'll get a going list together.
So Julie, join
Yeah,
us.
I think this is exciting. As the rest of the coalition works on development and site, to have all of our tourism professionals together to start to build a story and to start to get some attention and getting itineraries together. Everybody here, and especially in tourism, you guys are the subject matter experts of your stretch of the river. So making sure that all of those elements, as we're building out long itineraries, our goal with this is to start to get some national outdoor media attention. Again, if there's a federal designation going, we need to have all of those elements, both sides of the river, how the linkages work. I see us building itineraries all the way from, spirit experiences, because the river moved so much spirit up and down, history, Freedom Trail, inclusion. There are so many elements, and we need everybody in tourism to join in this effort. It's going to be a big lift. We need video, we need photography, we need to really take that website and make it usable for visitors. So I'm excited about this effort.
Well, thank you so much for your personal leadership on this, and as well as Noelle and Mary. So the bottom line is, you guys are the core of a committee. You're inviting others to let you know, Noelle, because you put your email in the chat, to follow up with you directly. We do have, as David mentioned earlier, a survey that there's a link in the chat too, and everybody should have received that link as part of the email reminder about this meeting this morning. So there's an opportunity to go into that survey and let everybody know of your interest, and then we will forward your name and contact information to the leadership of this tourism team if you'd like to be engaged with it. But wouldn't it be great to have every bureau up and down the river be part of this collaborative effort? It'd be dynamite. So if there are any questions or comments, please put them in the chat, and we can call upon you if you'd like to chip in with that. But we have like Marty Conley from Lawrence County is in the house, so it's really great to have folks up in that area, including Ironton, as part of our effort. Okay, well, thank you very much, Mary and Noel and Julie. We are very grateful. Okay, are you ready to move on? Okay, let's do that. So our next team that's stepped up to provide leadership for all of us. This grew directly out of the summit is our marketing team. We all recognize that the river's image needs to be marketed better. The idea of the Ohio River Way, what we are, what it is, what value and benefit it provides to the public is something we need to do professional and job as we possibly can. And I'm really grateful that Wayne Gates, who is the village manager of Ripley, former newspaper person himself, and also Rick Jansen with Friends of Ironton. The two of them have agreed to be the convening chairs of that marketing team. And Wayne, why don't you begin and share your vision for the committee?
Well, Brewster and Rick and I sort of talked via email over the past couple of days. And one of the things that came out of that conversation was, separate from tourism, the two things that I feel like that we need to concentrate on are public perception and brand awareness. And we want the public to think of us, think of the Ohio River Way, first of all, that it exists as a way to facilitate tourism and recreation, and that they think of the Ohio River Way in the way that we want them to. Like we discussed the perception of the Ohio River as dirty and dangerous, quote unquote. So that's one of the things that we are going to have to concentrate on. So what we would like to do is work on the image and awareness of the Ohio River Way, first of all, as an organization, and second of all, what it does and what it can offer the community. And there are different audiences that we talked about that we're speaking to, because business owners, administrators, government officials, the public that knows who we are, the public that doesn't. Each of those different audiences requires a little bit of a different, more subtle message that we want to try to work to get the Ohio River Way in the forefront of conversations when we start talking about tourism. And so we don't have to sell the story every time that we meet a new opportunity to take advantage of. So Rick and I talked very briefly. We are going to try to actually get together on the 20th of December, which may be too soon for some people with their calendars, but we wanted to try to do something before everybody disperses for the holidays. So I wondered if Rick has anything that he'd like to add.
Well, thank you, Wayne. I'm super excited about this opportunity. We are going to hit the ground running with the help of Marty Connolly and Lawrence County Chamber of Commerce. We will be setting up a booth at the Columbus Boat and RV Show, talking about the Wayne National Forest, and we will be definitely adding elements of the Ohio River Way into that booth. I know it's one-on-one with people, but I think it's a great opportunity to get started, and the sooner we get started, the better off we're going to be. I did send out an email this morning to Brewster and Wayne about the possibility of looking at Ohio River Way as something we could market similar to the Route 66 program. So we're excited to get going, a ball of energy, and I really find it important that we communicate within our small group first. So when a potential person interacts with the Ohio River Way, that the message is consistent with all of our core people. So when someone rolls up to Ripley, they have basically the same information as they'd get in West Point or Madison or wherever, but having consistency and details is going to be important. And I'm really excited to get going with this. I think we can do some amazing things, and I'm ready to go.
I think working hand in hand with the tourism people is going to be essential as we move forward, so we don't have duplication of effort and we can take advantage of everybody's expertise and time.
Totally agree.
So Rick and Wayne, could you share your sense about who you would love to have, what kind of people you'd love to have join your committee?
Well, one of the things that we talked about yesterday was the two biggest problems that anybody has in trying to get anything done like this is money and time. So I don't expect everyone to pony up $10,000 a piece to have us be able to buy ads or anything like that. But time and expertise is something that, especially the amount of collaborative brain power we have just on this call, can accomplish quite a bit if we focus it and be productive with it. So what I would like to do is have people that have ideas that want to participate that we can take advantage of. So we got Ironton covered, we got this part of the river covered. I would definitely like to work with some people from Indiana and Kentucky that know their media markets a little bit better, because having this story sold to large television markets like Louisville or Cincinnati is a much bigger ask than it is to talk to people that publish weekly newspapers in the smaller counties and communities. So people that are familiar with their local media market, I think, is essential, so we can tie a master media list together. That way, when we want to send out a press release or something like that, then we have the ability to do that quickly with one click of a button, rather than having to try to do 3 hours of research. So that's one suggestion. And then I'm happy to work with anybody that wants to participate.
Excellent. Rick, anything to add?
Well, I noticed in the comments from Richard about the Louisville Boat Show. If you have any ability to get us in there and get a booth for nothing or next to nothing, or I don't know how the finances will work in this, but the sooner the better. And I guess some of the resources we all have, for example, Marty up in South Point has got a gigantic electronic billboard, and simple things that doesn't cost anything could be out there as well. Maybe a big image of our logo and encouraging people to visit the site. Just start building that brand awareness is something that hopefully we can get into and get the ball rolling. But we kind of have to have a plan as to what we want to communicate with everybody. Correct, Wayne?
I agree. Yes. We are going to have to come up, when you said brand awareness and talking about the billboard, one thing that I think is important is to be able to come up with essentially shorthand, because changing the name to Ohio River Way from its former name was a step in the right direction. And I think that you want to be able to have people, and we've talked about this before in other groups. Rick mentioned Branson or Route 66. When I say that, most of you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I think that coming up with something like that for the Ohio River Valley, for the recreation, for the historical tourism, it's kind of a big task, but I think we need some sort of regional umbrella name and image that we can consistently push forth in every interaction that we have with the media and the public, to get them thinking in the right direction, because the two advertising principles of reach and frequency come into play. Who are we reaching, and how often are they getting our message? So that's the kind of thinking that we need to be engaging in.
Well, excellent, folks. Thank you so much for doing that. Wayne, could you put your email address in the chat so that people can be in direct touch with you to let you know that they're interested in participating? I see that Katie Sparks for the Friendship State Bank, who's their marketing director, would like to participate as well. David, I'm sorry.
I would just be fascinated to hear a little bit about the strategy to think about myth busting on the Ohio River, that it really is meets recreational standards, and how can one counter that or support the notion of clean water?
As a former media person, David, I think the easiest way to do that is to reach out directly to the media and say, hey, there's a misperception out here and it's hurting economic development. Because media people react to two things: mayhem and money. And that is in the money category. So if you're saying that we think that economic development is being hurt by this misconception, and here's why, then I think that they would do it and buy into it. And the easier you make it for them, the more likely it is that they would participate in helping us out with that. So we would need statistics, we need experts, we need to provide them, oh, here's somebody you can talk to, and here's some statistics you may not know. We don't want them to think that we're manipulating them, but we want to make it as easy as possible.
Excellent. And I know that Dr. Christopher Lorenz with Thomas More High River Biology Field Station, who made an outstanding presentation at the summit, is on the call right now. And I know that Chris is interested in helping develop the packaging around, and along with Dr. Michael Miller, what is the truth about the Ohio, busting those myths, and then working with us to get that message more broadly distributed.
So Brewster, one thing that the tourism and the marketing teams should be considering is, I forget how Wayne just eloquently phrased it, but we have a perception issue with the populations that touch it directly. And we also are trying to, so what's our target market with regards to the messages we're creating, whether it be for tourism or for marketing? I think we have to sort of dig ourselves out of a little bit of a hole here, and then start promoting in a more positive way so that we're correcting the wrongs as we move forward.
Excellent. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, team. Let's move on to our next ones and stay on track here, but really appreciate that. And the next group that just sort of seemed logical, and I really appreciate Annette Schumer with Orsanko and Tricia Novak with Terracon in the Louisville area, who coordinates the river sweep operation down there. The two of them have teamed up in an effort to bring together people who want to maybe already are doing river sweep operations or other forms of river cleanup, but to work closely with Orsanko to make this year's effort engage more volunteers, collect more stuff, do more promotion and marketing that demonstrates commitment by folks to a clean Ohio that we can all recreate in and enjoy. So this is an exciting team with a tight timeline for this coming cleanup season. So let's go to Annette. If you can hear us, Annette, that'd be great. Or if we can hear you. I know you had a problem with your audio.
Yeah, I had a problem with my speaker, but I think it was on my end. Can everyone hear me?
You sound great.
Okay, good. Hi, everyone. Nice to see you all again. Super excited about this committee and honored that Brewster asked me to lead it with Tricia. I'm looking forward to meeting her as well. We have a meeting scheduled after this one later this afternoon. So I don't have much more than what Brewster just offered up, except that we are definitely using our Ohio River Sweep resources here and our 8-member state reach from Pittsburgh down to Cairo, Illinois. We will be doing river sweep events. Anyone now, it used to be a one-day event, and now we do these multiple, what they were calling mini sweep events, and we do them from March through October, but we've never turned anyone away. We've had a few in November, some in earlier, in the year. So we will supply all of the trash bags, t-shirts, and gloves. And one of our big initiatives this year, like Brewster was just saying, is doing some branding, some awareness and promotion around the River Sweep event. It kind of changed, as we'll say, evolved during COVID. So I'm new here at Orsanko, and we're switching all that up again and trying to hit the ground running this year. So I'm really looking forward to recruiting volunteers, rebranding, and getting people excited about cleaning up the river again this year. Tricia, I think, is on here. I think I saw her, right? Did you have anything you wanted to add? Hi, but this is the first time we've met too, so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hi. Yeah, I'm Tricia. I'm with Terracon. I work out of Louisville, Kentucky, but I actually live in Indiana, right across the river. And I organize river sweeps for our Louisville office. And I work with Orsanko to organize those. They supply the gloves and the trash bags and everything. And they're very interesting events. I love being a part of it. I'm excited to work with you all and organize some with the coalition.
Well, just first of all, thanks so much to the two of you for stepping up and providing leadership. But just to, this is a great way doing these kind of cleanups in a coordinated and well-marketed way, getting back to the marketing committee, to demonstrate that we love the Ohio, and it shows. How does it show? We have thousands of people rolling their sleeves up and cleaning up every bit of trash they can, whether it's on the same day as I know it used to be with Orsanko, with River Sweep or spread out on different days during the course of a season. But imagine if every single community organized their own event. We can share, best practices in advance. We can share marketing strategies. But to have the largest engagement of volunteers from companies, from local governments, from nonprofit organizations, rolling their sleeves up and getting the job done, set a new record for how much stuff is picked up and ideally recycled. But it just is a way to show that people love and care about the river, and it's worth fighting for and working to improve, correct? Yeah.
I'm really glad you brought up the recycling aspects. If there is anyone here in this group, that's one of the challenges we're facing this year as well, is the recycling portion of it, because as you all probably know, when you take trash out of the river, it's dirty. The recycling companies won't accept it like that. However, we really want to push hard to try to develop something new where we can get more recycled. We have the Cincinnati Art Academy is interested this year in partnering with us. They've done some river trash art, and they are planning an expo. So that's really exciting. But if anyone here has any connections or ideas about recycling, that would be greatly appreciated. And I'm also really looking forward to the committee crossover. As I'm listening to everyone, I really feel like there are opportunities for us to work together on a lot of these issues. So we're super excited, and we hope some of you will join our team.
Well, let me ask you this, maybe by a show of hands on the screen. So you got to turn your screen on so we know about it. But like, who in the house here thinks that their community, their organization during this coming season, we're talking from March through October or so, would be interested in getting involved in organizing a collaborative, coordinated river sweep operation in 2023? What do you think? All right. So Guinevere, you have Lawrenceburg working, kicking butt out there, huh? Are you challenging other people to have more folks than you? D Stone, we got Anderson Township has a whole lot of stuff to clean up along the river there. So yeah, I think this is an exciting way for all of us to collaborate. Joy, let's get Covington out in the forefront of this effort, right? No problem. I know you can do it. Okay.
I think, Brewster, it's a perfect opportunity to include the tributaries too, because so many of those tributaries are so important, and they're easier access in a lot of ways. And so a focus on our river tributaries would be great as well.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I meant to make that clear. That's exactly right. And with working with the watershed organizations, whether it's the Salt River in West Point, it's it's the Kentucky River, it's Mill Creek, it's the Little Miami, whatever. Ohio Brush Creek up and down Laking. Expand our reach. Okay, folks. So, Annette, if you could put your email in the chat, if you haven't already done so, and folks who are interested in being engaged with that committee, reach out to Annette directly. Again, you'll have the opportunity to use the survey that you have the link to. It's in the chat to indicate your interest in that area. But this is really exciting, and it really gives us opportunity to market the hell out of what people are doing, just showing their commitment. Okay. Moving right along here, folks. These aren't technically working groups at the moment, but there are people who have been working for years, actually, on some obvious low-lying fruit tour opportunities or trail opportunities. But clearly, the Underground Railroad network let's see, Greg, you're so deeply involved in, along with Mary. I know there are folks from Shawnee State, Drew, working on developing a similar kind of Underground Railroad freedom tour along the Ohio corridor. But wouldn't it be cool if we could pull that together? Would anybody like to comment briefly on that? Greg, Mary, Drew? Take us off mute, jump in.
Well, Brewster, I'll start. First, I want to say something. We talked about the Rivertown review process. Any community that hasn't participated in that, I strongly encourage that they sign up and do it. As far as the Underground Railroad, yeah, you're right. There's been a number of people who have been working on the local Underground Railroad history and virtually all the communities up and down the Ohio. And there's as shown in various surveys, there's a lot of public interest, both locally and nationally, as well as internationally, in this history. the Freedom Corridor is offering itself up as a resource, as a conduit for those who are interested in seeking out resources for research and also offering resources. We've partnered with folks at Northern Kentucky University, Maysville Technical and Community College, and others, and we're very excited that Drew's on the call here and doing work at Shawnee State. And so these stories are important, and it starts with the stories and basically researching and finding those stories. There's a lot that we know. There's a whole lot more that we don't know. These are the untold stories, and that's a lot of opportunity for researchers, students, and whatnot to get their hands dirty and possibly get published and be part of something that the Ohio River Way is very intimately trying to accomplish here, and that is for the betterment of all the communities in the entire region. And again, that's personally why I'm involved as being part of this wonderful team you guys have built.
Thank you. Mary or Drew, like to chip in?
I'll chip in while Drew is unmuting himself. I don't intend to be on every committee, but living in New Richmond and knowing we have the strong abolitionist background and Underground Railroad sites, and I had mentioned to Wayne Gates and to Greg that with the Appalachian Region Funding Grant, we might partner with some of that work. So I want to be somewhat involved, but I also think tourism, as well as marketing, as well, all of these are interconnected. We just have to find the right amount of interface and not be afraid to resource each other. But I think there's some low-hanging fruit because most communities know where the Underground Railroad sites are. So if we could put together a template and make sure we had the right approach to, I think, Greg, you had mentioned Maryland had a model that maybe could be used or considered, and use the digital guide effectively. That might be some low-hanging fruit that we could come up with a trail. Might be a first start, but for 2023. I'm done.
Excellent. Excellent. Anybody else like to chip in?
I'd like to suggest that we hear from Jim Mallory a bit. You know, the National Park Service with the Lewis and Clark Trail encompasses our entire region. And so just as we're talking about a list of museums, like I'm with Payne Hollow on the Ohio, and I'd love to have a relationship with museums and historical sites up and down the river. But Jim with Lewis and Clark, how do you see the Ohio River Way fitting in, Jim, with, you know, this trail idea of promoting other trails?
Thanks, David. I'm not really ready to speak definitively about three things that we have going on, but I would like to go back to Mary and Wayne. We have a project I need to speak with them about directly by phone very shortly. Need some input from each of them on a project we're going to put in motion during the next 3 or 4 weeks here. But I do need to speak with them. By the way, and that phone number, I want a phone call. I don't want an email conversation started. I need something quick.
Right.
You can reach me at 859-278-7723. Just don't call after 9 o'clock at night.
And I'll make sure you guys get that phone number from for Jim, and you can follow up and complete that loop. But thank you, Jim Mallory. We also have Larry Calhoun with the National Park Service, who is the key point person for the Lewis and Clark Trail, and obviously it runs right through our entire stretch of the Ohio River Way. Drew, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, and we'd love to hear from you up there in Shawnee State.
Yeah, thanks. Well, undoubtedly, the history of the Underground Railroad is really, really rich in the Ohio River Way. You know, we're at Shawnee State. We have a mobile app that we're developing called Scioto Historical. We just launched an Underground Railroad walking tour for downtown Portsmouth, and we're partnering with Marty Conley here on a future project and that deals with the Underground Railroad and the National Park Service's Network to Freedom. I don't know, Marty, do you want to say anything about? I'm not sure, what we can say at this point, but
well,
you can jump in.
I would like to introduce myself to everyone. Thanks. My name is Marty Conley with the Lawrence County Convention and Visitors Bureau. Rick and I, Jensen, work together, and fantastic person to work with. Drew as well in Scioto County. We put together about a year ago, a little over a year ago, an opportunity for a National Heritage Tour, Freedom Tourism Initiative. We collaborated with 9 counties in Kentucky, in West Virginia, and 5 here in Ohio to develop and enhance the Underground Railroad Trail sites that are here, have those properly marked, resourced, researched, facts brought out to that, and building that initiative and having that history recognized for what it is. So things are moving really good on it. It has been a year, but hopefully we find out something very, very quickly. So we'll stay tuned to that.
Excellent. Hey, thank you very much. We need to move on, but there's clearly a lot of momentum and a lot of people who have done tons of work in this field over the years. And the question is, how can we make it more accessible and more engaging for folks to, how they learn about what's out there, and how do we encourage them to jump in their car, jump on their bike, and tour the amazing network and learn, bring the grandkids along, and spend money in every town along the way. Make sense?
Hey, Brew.
Yes.
Can I make a quick comment? We do have, I saw a note from Julie related to, like, Claremont County also has a Freedom Trail. I think what we don't have, if we were to develop a 1-week or 2-week itinerary, we have all these Freedom Trails, but they're not exactly connected. And people don't think of them as fluid and as continuum. So when I was talking trail, I was just thinking, how do you use a lot of what's already either started or is in existence in a way that someone could plan a vacation easily? That's all. Thanks.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay. Thank you very much, Mary. Moving right along. Just wanted to point out that there's our potential additional teams that folks have already reached out and said, hey, maybe we should explore the idea of doing a conservation team. That might be park districts and nature conservancies and watershed organizations up and down the river to get to know each other, be a professional network to share best practices, and then think what can they do by working better together to help deal with the ecological restoration and increasing public access to these lands and preservation of them as well along the way. Secondly, back and forth with Sean Mendel from Behringer Crawford in Northern Kentucky, the idea of setting up a museum tour. David just mentioned it. Think of all the museums up and down the river. I mean, Maysville's got a great museum. Of course, I mean, all these communities up and down the river have their unique historic museums on all kinds of things. So what about a museum trail, museum tour up and down the Ohio? That's something I think we can pull folks together. And then finally, there's been a lot of talk came out of the summit about organizing special events that ideally aren't we organize them, but we promote what others are already doing and create a package around them. So imagine there are already a bunch of paddling events. What if we tag them all as a High Riverway paddling series and have 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 events during the course of the season that are the paddling series? Bike rides. There are bike rides in so many communities. Can we pull together on a High Riverway master calendar of all the bike rides up and down the river? That could be a great marketing tool to attract people to come and spend time taking advantage of all these fishing tournaments. Rising Sun has the largest catfish tournament in America. It's huge. And but there are other communities that are doing them. There's could be one in Manchester this coming summer, et cetera. So those are potential tasks or focused teams that could work on those projects, plus the brewery, winery, and distillery trail. We already got the B trail, the B line, but hey, think of all the wineries, breweries, and distilleries that are up and down the Ohio. Giving people an opportunity by bike, by boat, by car, check them all out. Maybe we have a passport that we provide to the general public, whether it's for those particular facilities or Underground Railroad facilities or whatever. But there's one area that we haven't talked about yet, and I apologize, but the Archaeological Research Institute is willing to take the lead in helping us develop a Native American history and culture trail. So this is the last trail. Who's on the call from them? Is anybody on the call right now? Well, maybe we have to get back to you about that. But the bottom line is the Archaeological Research Institute, Liz Sedler, as the executive director, has said that we're willing to take leadership in developing this with the some of the
Brewster, I was muted.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. So yes, we are hoping to take the lead on this. We're actually already working with our team to try to kind of outline what we're thinking for the trails and how we can best basically get them all in there, because there's thousands of archaeological sites along the river, especially throughout those 3 states. So we're trying to figure out but which ones we plan to map. We'll probably start with just some along the river in each state, or maybe we thought about doing them by county. We're trying to pick locations that are accessible by kayak, by boat, by bike, by like all the ways that you can kind of connect with those. Some of the things that we were working through is just like different narratives of like trying to explain to people what archaeologists do, why the past is worth exploring. Native Americans are not people of the past, but people with a past, and trying to like just interweave our learning objectives and stuff that we have going on at ARI into the trails and how we would kind of build those out. And we would assume that they would be digitized on an app, or I think you guys already kind of have an app, right?
Well, it's not technically an app at this point. It's a website that people can link to the phone.
Well, we're hoping to kind of make it, you know, have self-guided tours, but also because we offer like local archaeological site tours, we offer regional site tours. And so we're trying to think of how we can expand that within our own organization to maybe offer guided tours, you know, in each county or along the river.
Yep.
Yeah, so we got a lot of things in the works. We're also working to try to find funding to hire someone to just solely work on this project.
Wow.
So if anyone has any ideas on any types of funding that would help with that, I would appreciate a link for that.
Well, wonderful. Could you put your contact information in the chat so folks who want to follow up with you can do so?
Yes.
And whether we form an official committee or just encourage and celebrate and support your organization taking the lead, that's great. Okay. Excellent. Thank you so much. Give
No
our best. And so folks, to keep us on schedule, let me ask you, are there any other kind of committees that folks think would be wise and logical for us to, as we have the organizational capacity, develop? And if so, can you put those ideas in the chat, especially if you might be willing to play a convening role with that effort? Anybody? What did we miss? After the meeting, people, you asked like, I can't believe they didn't think this would be a good idea or a logical committee to get organized. Oh, and so Mayor Cotterill, I think, has raised her hand from beautiful Maysville, Kentucky. Mayor, go ahead.
I was hoping that maybe from the information that you've given this morning, I wish there had been other people on the call. And so I was wondering if we could get a summary of the topics and who the contacts are. That way we could share it with our cohorts that maybe weren't on, but it could be shared with everybody who's a member who didn't get on today.
Excellent.
And that would be helpful.
Well, we will commit to doing a follow-up communication that will go not just to those on the call here, but we have about almost 1,200 people who get our communications on a regular basis, and we can put together a report, essentially a report on what happened in this meeting with the contact information for each of the folks who step up to the plate to provide leadership. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, terrific. Thank you.
Thank you, and just hats off to Maysville. You have your Main Street director, your Chamber of Commerce director, a tourism director. We have you. I'm probably missing somebody, so you're just nailing it. So nice model for everybody else. Thank you very much. So The last thing we wanted to do was to share where we are with our membership development project, because frankly, we need to generate revenue in order to expand capacity to get this stuff that we're all talking about done. So Francis, take it away.
Unmute. So yeah, our membership drive has been fantastic, and I just want to run through very quickly those of us that are contributing members to the entity. If you don't see an entity that you represent here yet, please, it's not too late. We're taking in members all throughout.
Are you going to scroll down? You're going to scroll down?
We've got Anderson Township, ARI, who we just heard from, Aurora, Indiana. So this is municipalities as well as, and governments as well as agencies inside all of that. Bellevue, Kentucky, Boone Conservancy, Boone County itself, Bromley, Kentucky, Camel County, Cincinnati, Covington, Dayton, Friends of Ironton. I'm not reading them all. Great Miami River Way, which is our tributary organization, very much like ours. Greendale, Indiana, Lawrenceburg, Indiana, Lewis and Clark Trust with Mr. Mallory. Louisville, Kentucky, a major contributor of ours. Meet NKY has been great to sponsor a lot of this for us. New Albany, Indiana, Oak Heritage Conservancy, One Dearborn, O'Rourke's Pub, our first pub, Orsanko. There's more. Rabbit Hash, Kentucky. River City Paddle Sports was one of the initial founders of all this effort with Mr. Wicks. Sea Ray of Cincinnati, so the boating community. So we have a list of the list of everyone who has expressed interest, and this is just a subset of that, and it's going to continue to expand, but very much appreciate everyone's support. If you we'll post this online. If you don't see your name on this, if you don't see your representative organization on this list, then you can join too. Membership rates are not onerous at all. While I have my mic on, one group we should think about doing with our committees and our teams is a fundraising committee. Most people know we are working on the Ohio River Way is working on the Appalachian funding that's coming out of the state of Ohio, as well as ARC funding, and a twinned effort to solicit some support of significance, both from the state of Ohio and from ARC. And we did a number of different solicitations collectively as a group throughout the year, throughout the past 2022, and we'll continue to do so from other funding sources that will have a broader reach and impact. So wanted to mention that. The other thing on a housekeeping, before we close, on a housekeeping point is that anybody who signed up for today's meeting, it should have auto-populated into your calendar. We should have every third Thursday at 10 a.m. should be populated for your 2023 calendar for this coalition meeting every month moving forward.
Francis, just to be clear, you're saying that if people want to help recruit new members and other communities and businesses, you should join the fundraising committee with you? So the fundraising is both grants and this membership piece?
Sure. Yeah, that's not what I was intending, but yes. I mean, it's all part of the fundraising work is all helping get this stuff done. So yes.
Because I think if everybody on this call had a relationship with a marina or an environmental organization or a community, and we reached out to them, we could have a significant addition to our dues paying members.
And let's be clear that the more communities, organizations, agencies that are official dues paying members, and for many organizations, just $100, and for larger ones, it's more, you get it. But that sends a message to foundations and to governmental entities as we apply for funding that there's a there. It's not just 2 or 3 of us pushing this idea. There is buy-in and engagement reflected by membership. And what we'd love to do, if you're not already a dues paying member, that is a charter member, the idea was that by the end of this year, if you either pay or tell us that you're going to pay, then by the end of this year, then you'll be considered a charter member of this organization. And as you can see from that list, which we'll post and include in the follow-up email, it's an incredibly impressive cross-section. And there are organizations like the city of Portsmouth that passed the resolution. Their check's in the mail, but we haven't actually gotten it yet. But that's no problem at all. If your organization just lets us know that we're in, we'll get you the check later. That's great. And Francis, could you put the link to our website, to the spot on our website where folks can learn about membership? But again, those membership dollars would provide a core amount of support so that we can then hire an executive director, which we need. So, folks, we have 3 minutes left. I'm sorry. But reactions to this meeting, how did it go? What could we have done better? What worked well? What could have been done better? So just raise your hand. We'll let you chat. You're welcome to put something in the chat as well, but we'd love to hear from you.
Deborah's online. Go ahead, Deborah.
I think that's left over, I think.
Oh,
Anybody else like to say something? Was this an engaging meeting? Did we produce results that move the agenda forward? What could we have done better? Rick.
Hi, this is Dee Stone. I'm very excited about this meeting and what you're doing, Brewster, and everybody involved. So Anderson Township is investing a lot of money in our riverfront, and now it's nice to get people down from the riverside, not just from the roadside. So it'll be nice to get people down coming on from the river to not just, go to Belterra or Coney, but because of the historical attraction. So it's exciting stuff. Thank you.
And I know, Dee, we talked earlier this week about your idea. Gee, we ought to have like a hike the Ohio River Way.
Yes,
idea,
I'm
right?
very
And literally,
passionate about that.
just like the Appalachian Trail, hike or ride the Ohio River Way.
That's right. And stay at little hostels along the way, or little Airbnbs, or whatever it is. You hike for 10 miles and then you stop in Ripley, and you hike for 10 miles and then you stop in wherever. So
we love it. Thank you. Anybody else?
Well, it was worth this call to know that Maysville has the first official pub on the Ohio River Way. Now, don't you all want to visit now? Ha ha.
So guess what Caroline does? She's the head of the Main Street organization for Maysville. You're doing a great job there. I'll have to tell Norbert that you're pushing his pub. I love it. Anybody else?
Hey, Brewster, the Ohio River Way is a textbook example of how the Lewis and Clark National Historic Trail sees regional operations and regional support all the way across this nation. It really is. Thanks for a great job. Thanks to everybody. I got to run.
People doing a lot of good work, and I'm so grateful for Dr. David Wicks, who's the vice chair of this operation with River City Paddle Sports, and he's in so many ways the inspiration behind it. And I'm sorry somebody has a blower outside, they're making too much noise. So folks, we're so grateful. We will do the follow-up as recommended, provide all the information that we can share with you all. And we look forward to seeing you all a month from now. And for those of you interested in engaging with the committees before then. Okay.
Annette had her hand up.
Annette.
I was clapping.
Oh.
That was a clap emoji.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, maybe we do a giant clap for everybody's engagement and hard work. So we're so thankful.
We're so grateful.
And Andrea Ireland, have a wonderful holiday. Andrea, as everybody knows, has spent 2.5 years holding our hands and leading us through. And we wouldn't be here without the National Park Service providing that leadership to pull us together and move us forward and challenge us to do more and move faster. And thank you, Andrea. You have a great holiday.
Thank you, Brewster, and happy holidays from Russ Clark as well. This was a great meeting. You guys are really storming down the river and doing great things, great progress.
All right. Well, wonderful. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great holiday, and we will catch you next time. Take care.